It's 2 o'clock. Call this meeting of the County Commissioners to order. Please join us for the pledge. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks everybody for being here today. We'll move along as quickly as we can today. We've got a lot of things on the agenda. First off, has everyone had a chance to read the minutes of our May 17 meeting?
Move to approve meeting minutes.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Dale, second by Tracy to approve the minutes of the May 17 regular meeting. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
3 ayes, Jane. First thing on our agenda today is the bid opening for the 2022 Community Crossings Road Resurfacing projects. We've got 4 bids here. We'll open those, and I assume there's some representatives here from Butler Fairman today. There you are, okay. We'll have this stuff ready for you in just a few minutes here. Okay, we have 4 bid packets here today, and we have one from Dave O'Mara Contractors Incorporated, and one from Milestone Contractors, and who do we have down there? Row.
And All-Star Paving.
All-Star. Okay. For the record, Jane, I'll read the total bid amounts on these. Milestone Contractors, total cost of their project bid is $1,550,103.50. That's 1550103.50. So if you want to take a look at it. The bid from Dave O'Mara, Contractors Incorporated. Total cost of project bid, $1,593,914. 1593914.00. All-Star Paving Incorporated from Seymour, Indiana. Total cost of project bid, $1,709,872.50. 1709872.50. Paul H. Rowe Company Incorporated, Aurora, Indiana. Total cost of project bid, $1,751,652. It's 1751652.00. Okay. Those are the bids as we've received them. I'll take it you will want to retrieve these today and give them close examination and see what we can make work.
Okay.
Do we need a motion to table this?
Yeah. Pardon?
We're going to make a motion to take them under advisement.
Yeah, we'll take these under advisement, pass them over to you, and then see what, and you can report back to us. So let's have a motion on that.
I move to table these, put them under advisement until Butler Fairman have time to go through them.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Dale, second by Tracy to table consideration of these 4 bids and await the examination of Butler, Fairman, and Secret. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
3 ayes, James. There you go, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Do you expect to be back at our June 21st meeting with this?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we'll have a recommendation excuse me, for the commissioners to act on.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much. Next up, department reports. Sheriff Joey Laughlin.
Good afternoon. First thing that I wanted to discuss is last week I sent an email out and I think we posted something on Facebook. Last week Billy Wason retired. June 1st was his last day. 33 years at our department. Billy had a big impact on our department and he will be sorely missed. But things move on and we got to fill his spot. So with Billy leaving, that leaves an open road deputy position. Obviously with Billy's time, his longevity, the salary structure the way it was, he was our highest paid officer. Filling that spot with a new officer, there'll be a little bit of savings there, but like to start a process and have some other things to discuss after this that'll go into that, but like to start a process to fill that open spot with your guys' permission.
Okay.
I'll move to approve the hiring process to begin.
I'll second that.
motion by Dale, second by Tracy, to approve the sheriff's request to fill the open position left by the retirement of Billy Wason. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
3 ayes, yeah.
Thank you. Second thing that I have, unfortunately, things have kind of changed. What we'd initially been discussing, I had talked to each of you individually and talked to council members about the SRO situation that we have. And I'll kind of go through that and then get to where we're going, but obviously what happened in Texas has changed that situation, or at least heightened our reaction to it, I guess. We have worked part-time for the school corporation since 1999, the deputies have. Initially started at the high school with 2 guys. They worked just a few hours a day. Then it went to 4 hours, then it became full days. Over time, we've added the middle school about 4 years ago. Guys either work there on their days off, or if they're scheduled to work at the department, they'll leave for 4 hours, sign out, go there, and then come back. They get their full work day in. We have a separate sign-in sheet to keep track of hours. We've discussed this with State Board of Accounts. That's always a question, how they do it. They've been good with it. The way we have it set up, everything's kosher. But when we took on the middle school, it became, initially, there was going to be 4 guys at the high school, 4 guys at the middle school sharing these positions. Over time, 1 guy quit, just didn't really want to do the job anymore, had other things going on in his life. And another guy, they had a child. It's cheaper for him to stay home for daycare. So it went down to just a few guys. And I was always supposed to be the alternate. I never worked at school in my first term as sheriff, had no plans to really do it much here, other than guys are going to training, or we did run through a bout of COVID where we had 5 guys to cover both schools and the road, and somehow got through that for 14 days, but never was intending to work the school much. Well, the last few months of school, I was there 12, 16 hours a week. Not ideal, but we can't leave the schools unprotected. I got a kid at the middle school, so it's a little comfort being there with him during the day, but basically it's got too much for us. We can't handle it on a part-time basis. So we met with the school and talked to them about adding a full-time SRO to the high school, and what that would entail and how much we'd be willing to contribute financially to that, and add some stability to the high school. A good thing, there's several of us been to SRO training. When we go, nobody can understand how we do this on a part-time basis, just because the relationships with kids, it's different when you're in there every day at your position. It adds a lot of continuity to everything, and nobody can really understand how we did it. And as I started this process and was talking to you folks, I talked to several other SROs and other sheriffs throughout the state, and nobody was doing it part-time, at least anybody I talked to. So everybody was really, yeah, you guys need to try to make this happen. So we initially talked to the school, and the school was all on board with trying to make a full-time SRO. Found out some more information, and we talked with Jolisa and came across the COPS grant. And I think a lot of us are familiar with that. It's been around for a long time. It's not anything that I know that we've applied for from our department, because there is some certain criteria that goes with it. But I think it would be a solution to what we're trying to do. So basically, for the folks at home and everybody here, what that entails, I know I emailed all you folks this weekend. The COPS grant for 3 years will pay up to $125,000, which over 3 years will be about $41,667 per year towards an officer. A new deputy starts out at $44,000. So that will pay the majority of their salary. The school, thought I silenced my phone, and I didn't. Sorry.
You know, that means, you know what the house rules are on that.
I got to leave now.
Whoever's phone goes off in the meeting buys lunch.
Okay, oh goodness.
For everybody in the room.
I had to pick today with everybody.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's Michelle Richards. Would you care to call her real quick, see if she needs something? Thank you. Anyway, so it pays that much of the salary. The school had agreed to pay the rest. So I talked to Jane about the fringe benefits. That will be anywhere from $18,000 to $28,000. depending on if we have a single person or they have a family and, or, spouse and kids, that could be on the higher end. But the schools agreed to pay the rest of that. So basically for 3 years, the county is not, we are because we pay into the school too, but we're not out anything from here, nothing financially from here, other than gas, equipment, things like that. And I should reiterate, or at least state, that the person we're putting out there will not be a brand new officer. It will be a veteran officer. So that what we're looking to do is fill their spot. We have an idea who we would like to put out there, somebody that's interested. The school wants a veteran officer. Dealing with kids in these situations is completely different than working the road. Kids are kids. They've not changed. Parenting may have changed over the years, but kids are still kids. And we do have a good group of guys that work in the schools. We have great rapport with the kids. The person that we would choose, I think, totally has everything we need for an SRO. So this position would be filling that. So year 3, or after the 3 years, the 4th year, they have to stay employed for 12 months as part of the grant. So no matter what, we'd have to keep them for 4th year for 12 months. But the school is saying they'll up their contribution at that point, that they would pay the full salary and just ask the county to pay the fringe at that point. So it would kind of shift and scale at that point, money-wise. The benefit to the county, and that's where we've tried to make this beneficial to the county, other than, we're paying this and supplying it. We know everybody wants to keep kids safe, but it's got to make sense for us too. So this person, when school's not in session, they will be at the department Monday through Friday. So spring break, fall break, summer break, they'll be working for us. In the summer, we average about $11,000 to $13,000 in overtime in the summer. So the idea is when this person's off in the summer, we use them to plug in gaps for overtime. So we try to reduce costs there too and use them in that situation. But 70% of the time, they'll belong to the school. Other 30% would be to the department. To me, it's a no-brainer, especially if the grant, now, this is all grant dependent. We're not assured that we're going to get this grant. I think there's a way still, and I think the school would up their contribution if the grant doesn't happen, to where we can still make this happen. We have a great relationship with the school. They want to keep partnering up with us and us with them. What was so troublesome about all this is, as I was talking with you guys and talking with the council, I was at the school writing up an agreement that I got from Allen County. Then Uvalde happened, and we still had a day of school left to go. So that next day was, being on as long as I have, and as much as I've dealt with at schools, it's a tense situation to be in, and knowing that this stuff is popping up all around us. Not necessarily just school shootings, but active shooter situations. They just had one in Franklin County. Having stability, having an SRO, I'm hoping that the state, and you guys have seen some of the stuff that's happened in Kentucky, is now going to have an SRO to be at every K-12 school. Ohio has taken steps to arm teachers. I mean, there's a lot of steps to take, but I think this is the first step of many that's coming, and hopefully the state will send funding down our way to keep this going. But that's basically what I got. I'm sure you guys have questions. I probably haven't covered everything, but
I got,
yeah.
if your deputies work, I think they work, what, a 10-hour day now?
Yeah.
Will this one work a 10-hour day? Will he work a 5-hour day, whatever the school is?
I think we'll do the 8 hours. They'll just work the school day and be done. And then in the summer, they'll stay on that 8-hour shift. So they'll pop in and cover. And we do something now called admin overtime. Zach just worked it the other night. So instead of trying to pay more overtime, the guys that work in office, they'll work 2 to 6. They'll either take comp time or they'll stay 2 till 10 a.m. and whatever. So I think that situation, we could use that person for that too, to fill in those gaps. So I think we'd keep them on an 8-hour schedule, this school schedule. So, and they'll have vacation and stuff. I mean, to me, if I was going to work it, I'd probably take spring break and fall break off and stuff, and no summer I'm going to be working the road. But the veteran officers have 4 weeks overtime, or 4 weeks of vacation, so they'll use that to fill in some, So, but I think it's that our roles in the schools have really evolved. we're pretty hands-off now. I mean, we don't really get involved in discipline issues. Basically, the majority of it's vape tickets and, dealing with a fight after it's happened, normal stuff. But, I mean, at least 8 that I can think of right now, we've had threats at the school this year. One was credible. One young man is being detained till he's 18 years old of how credible a threat it was. I personally went into a classroom and pulled a gun off a kid. Ended up not being a actual gun. He was showing it to everybody, but the situation that presented itself to us is this young man had a handgun in an art classroom. And Mr. Judd, myself, Mr. West went in and pulled this kid out. I know Wason's pulled an actual handgun off a kid off a school bus. We've been very blessed, and I hope we continue to be. But, the solution that I see for us is to keep in the schools. The pay rate is an issue and something we're continuing to work with the schools on a part-time basis because, it's not been enticing to some of the newer, younger guys. Us guys that have been around a long time, we just put me in wherever you need me and I'll do all the extra you need. So, I think that part of it will help too, because we're going to try to continue part-time at the middle school. Zach has some ideas on getting all the schools taken care of from an SRO standpoint. We started those conversations with the school too, but it's probably a little bit down the road. But like I said, hopefully the state will start sending some money down our way so we can make this happen. Because I've talked to 4, including Wason, 4 officers near retirement or that just retired that would happily work a part-time job at an elementary school to fill in and do this. So, in law enforcement, as you get to this stage in the career, some things change and all that, but everybody wants to protect kids. I mean, that's just, you're not going to find an officer that's not willing, or not even officers, anybody in the community, moms, dad, grandparents, anybody volunteer to go keep these kids safe. So that's what it's all about. And I think this is a good first step for us. So hopefully you guys agree.
With this, the school paying part of the salary, does this open any type of a liability, county versus school? I mean, I think it's a good idea, don't get me wrong.
No.
But I don't know if is there some type of a...
So we have an MOU in place now for how we're doing it part-time. That's something that will change a little bit with this, and the schools are kind of waiting to see what happens today. Their attorney is working on a new agreement. There's liability, in any of these situations, especially with the school, and I think, we would share. And I didn't mean to jump over Mr. Westling, but just giving you some background on what we have in place. So.
Sure. I mean, they're going to be county employees.
Yeah.
So I don't know how we get out of liability. I'm assuming we have that same thing now.
Yeah.
I didn't know if with the school paying part of the salary, that would increase ours or theirs liability even worse, or not as much, or...
Yeah, that's a good question. And as I talk throughout the state, there is different scenarios. Some, the school corporation hires the person and the sheriff gives them special deputy status. And others, it's like we're presenting. They both work, but the same liability, I think, exists. If I grant somebody special deputy status and they make a mistake, that we're selective on who works the schools, and that's another thing with us. And we really got to make sure they know how to interact with these kids, because we've had middle schoolers this year that have got physical, and you just got to know that it's a kid at the end of the day, And I feel supremely confident in all the officers. I had one of the councilmen ask me last night, do you think any of your officers, and I'm not questioning what happened in Texas, I don't know all the facts, but I know what happened in Parkland and all, and said, do you think your officers would go in that situation 100%? I think every SRO we had would go in, not worry about backup, go in and confront the shooter and engage the shooter as quickly as possible. We train on it. We've been through all the schools. Going to do it again this summer. So I think all the guys we have are more than equipped to handle the situation. But as we all know, never know what could pop up. But there will be a element of liability that has existed the entire time too, though. So, and I should state, because I asked Jay one of those things, learn something new every day. our goal is, because I thought we may have to wait till the first of the year, our goal is to have somebody in place by the start of school this year. Because, like I said, this part-time basis and guys pulling hours and, basically like Zach explained it really well. These guys that are working this and then having to come out and make hours, they're working at the school for a much more reduced rate than they're making that they could make it overtime. And they're basically doing it out of the fact they want to protect kids. It's not I'm making a bunch of extra money. It's well, somebody's got to be there, and my boy's there, my daughter's there, or I know that kid, I had him in dare or whatever. So they're basically doing it out of just trying to help out.
So what you need from us today, if I understand right, is the go-ahead to apply for this COPS grant?
Yes, sir. June 9th is one deadline, and June 16th is the next. So nothing like waiting until the last second. But
your next deadline is just a couple of days away.
Yeah.
Joe, are you're our grant administrator. Do you see any problems with this application?
No.
Okay. Do you know when the award, have they said when the award period would be?
The project period would start September 1st, and you're looking at, they give you 5 years, and the reason that they do that, even though they only are really paying the 3 and then you're keeping them on for the next 12 months, is because of the hiring process. It may take some time there. But that is when you could actually start spending money from the grant is September 1st. So I would think that our award would be in July. We would have to know something prior to start.
And it would be my hope, and I know, like I said, I think the school will up their contribution to the full salary of the officer if we don't get the grant. Obviously, the grant would make it so much easier, but my hope is that we can make this happen with or without the grant. I can't see, I don't know, we've never applied for one, but with what's all going on, especially if that's detailed in there at all, what we're planning to do with it, I don't know how we would get turned down, but especially.
Well, certainly this grant application will be the most immediate
Yes.
thing we can do.
Yes.
In the long term, it might be worth a roundtable discussion between school and county officials, including you and your department, about what the long-term solution to this may be.
Yeah.
The Reed Health went to the trouble and expense of creating their own police force. I don't know if that's an option for the school system or not.
Yeah, and it possibly could be. I don't know. I mean, I don't know the school's financial shape, but I mean, I don't know that, they're not ready for that now. I can tell you that. That's not their thinking now. So,
Yeah.
And I've heard people, well, what about security and all those things, and that's all great, but to pay for a fully trained police officer to handle the situation, because the liability on their end is much lessened a lot by having us there instead of just hiring private security or whatever. But if they have their own police department, I mean, that may be something, I don't know, but I know they're not there now. And SROs aren't going away, we know that.
I don't know if that's a long-term solution or not, but I know that if this is a 3-year grant, at least that gives 3 years to get something in place long-term.
Yeah.
I don't pretend to know what the final solution is.
Yeah, I mean, from my standpoint, the school's going to increase to the full salary, and the county can get and contribute $18,000 or $28,000 to a full-time deputy that they're going to get to use for 30% of the time and keep our schools safer. It's a no-brainer to me, even at that cost. But I'm not the financial guy, and I got 6 months to go in my position, so I won't make promises or obligate anybody to anything they're going to have to deal with. But as a parent, I don't think there's any cost. I mean, the frivolous spending that gets done throughout the state, not here, but throughout the state, on whatever cost it is to keep kids safe, I don't see any point. I'm speaking as a dad, not as the sheriff. But
I know there will be plenty of opportunity going forward for all the people involved in this to have much more discussion about it.
Yep.
But for now, our question is to allow the grant application.
I have a second part to the grant application, if you don't want me to continue, before you make a motion. So in discuss, if you're okay with that, I mean,
Yeah.
interrupt. I just figured it'd be easier to do that. And I'm sorry to everybody that's here. I'm not trying to rattle on. I just want to make sure we got everything out. So in discussions, when we talked to Joe Lisa about this, and I've mentioned this to you guys as well, we would like to apply for a second deputy with this, for a road deputy. Same cost. It would pay $41,000. The county would incur the fringe benefits. The school's not kicking money in on this. A second deputy approved with this grant would allow us to have double coverage on the road all the time. Maybe a few hour gap here or there if guys taking off or whatever. Everybody that I've seen run for sheriff in the past few elections has talked about increased road coverage, and they're right. And there's ways to do that. Applying for a second deputy in this spot, 2 guys out all the time. We talked to somebody the other day from another agency that was saying, well, how many guys you got out? 1. What about later? 1. You guys got 1 guy out. Yep. City Police got 3, we got 1. You're kidding. Double coverage allows these officers for their safety and response. We had a domestic earlier today. 4 of us responded. It was during the day. We have office staff. We can do that. After 4 o'clock, there's 1 guy out by himself for 4 hours. The idea with this position would be that it's grant dependent, funding dependent. So we apply for it. If it's granted, we have them for 3 years. 4 years because we have to pay the 4th. But if funding's not there, county's not doing well, we can't find any other way to maintain this position, we would have to terminate the position. That seems cold, but I think there's a lot of younger, newer people that want to be police officers that would look at this as a great opportunity. Basically what you're saying is, you can come work for us, we'll get 4 years out of you if we can keep you, great. If not, you're going to get the academy, which is the equivalent of a college degree in law enforcement. Maybe you can go to the city police, maybe you can go to Franklin County, whatever, but we've got 4 years good use out of you. Hopefully we can retain you if possible, but it gives us that double coverage. And like I said, everybody I've seen run has talked about double coverage and more increased law enforcement out here for this minimal of a cost, and what the schools contribute towards the other, and us losing $9,000 with Billy retiring. We're getting pretty much a 2-for-1 with the grant, in my estimation. Having that extra deputy also helps with those overtime situations where guys are off. Now we're having to pull guys here or there. We're paying out overtime. I'd like to see, if it's not funded, the grant doesn't go through, we move on. If it's funded, we make, with Mr. Westling's assistance, we have some type of contract to let them know it's funding dependent. I know a lot of grant people that are people working for Michelle that are grant dependent. If grant goes away, they don't have a job. It's done in other departments here, and to add another deputy for, like I said, it pretty much breaks down to a 2-for-1. To me, I think it's worth a shot. If it gets funded, great. If not, hopefully we get our SRO and move on.
So what you're talking about is a separate grant application than the SRO.
Would it be a separate
It
application?
would be the same application, we would just be asking for 2 new hires.
Okay. But both then would come through the COPS grant
Yes.
with the same window of opportunity and all.
Correct.
Okay.
And it would also be, I also think if we did get in situations where we needed to pull a guy, or, we do have, like I said, God forbid, something like COVID comes through again, or we do have training or something, if we did have this guy, we could, special details, or, there's been a few times at school when we've had these online threats where the schools ask for extra presence. So we've had, we call other agencies, sometimes the city helps when they can, and other agencies, ISP. But this would also give us opportunity if we did have a situation where we can say, hey, you was working seconds tonight, but I need you at Everton School because there's a, upset dad, or,
I think it all sounds good, and I'm glad you did all this work to do what you're doing. And yeah, I think that we definitely need it. And so I would definitely make the motion then for us to let you pursue the COPS grant money for the deputy, road deputy, and for the position as a SOR officer.
Okay, we have a motion by Tracy, second by Dale, to give the sheriff the go-ahead to apply for the COPS grant to include 1 SRO and 1 road deputy. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
3 ayes, Jane.
Thank you.
Proceed.
One last thing, and then I'll shut up, okay? And I'm doing this because you asked me to. I'm gonna be vague and brief. There are cameras in the county that have been, there's been some discussion about them. That is not Big Brother watching anybody. We are not trying to catch traffic violations. We are not trying to get you because you didn't have your seatbelt on. They are in place for drug trafficking. They are in place for Amber Alert situations. They are in place for very serious situations, very felony type level crimes that are throughout the state. We partner with other places. We have access to those other cameras. So it is not Big Brother trying to watch anybody. You are not going to get a seatbelt ticket in your mail a month later from us. Like I got a thing from Wisconsin for going through tolls the other day. So nobody will be, that is not the purpose of them. I really don't want to have a lot of discussion about them because the covert nature of them is the idea. And I do want to apologize. This was something that got funded and kind of, I delegated, and I did not talk to you guys ahead of time about that, and I do apologize for that. There was no, not trying to be disrespectful in any way. It was an exciting thing, and I delegated, and that's on me. So I apologize. I hope that puts anybody's concerns to rest on what they are. If you have concerns, wherever the cameras are, call me. Don't approach Dale. Don't put Dale or Tracy in that position. Contact me. I'll be happy to explain in greater detail. But obviously, in any of these situations, we don't want to, because they're not as useful if you put all the information out.
So what the sheriff is nicely trying to say is he does not want me on his case. But, well, thank you for that little confession, Sheriff.
I feel so much better. Great weight has been lifted off.
Okay, well, there's, this comes up because there has been a number of citizens have spotted these cameras along certain highways in the county. They want to know what they are, and they want to know if they're being spied upon. Well, if you're a drug dealer, I guess you could say, yes, you are being watched. But if you're not, no. So, if you're willing to take calls on this from various citizens, I will direct them to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's to keep us safer. It's not to mess with anybody. That's the last thing we want to try to do.
So
we're not the department out writing
yeah.
frivolous tickets anyway. So
Yeah. So we have your word here under oath that there's no traffic tickets
no.
being issued in this. There's no there's just no, how should I put it?
It's not for traffic. It's not a traffic device to try to catch people and write them citations at all. That's not that purpose.
Okay.
It's similar to the thing that's up on Grand Avenue to tell you to slow down. No matter how slow you get, it tells you to slow down anyway. But it's the same concept, so to speak.
Yeah, and this system also works with all surrounding counties also, right?
Yes. Yeah. It is quite widespread and very, very useful, and it has produced tremendous results thus far. So, yeah, a lot of drugs getting off the street because of it. So.
Okay. Thank you very much.
No problem. Yeah. Thank you guys. Have a good day.
Okay. Okay. Probation Department, Ryan Siggers.
Good afternoon, everybody. I just came today to ask permission. It was brought to my attention that our body armor is expired, and has been for at least 1 year, possibly 2. I looked into that, and I've got a bid and everything ready to present to the council tonight. But Jolisa brought it to my attention that there is a DOJ grant that we can apply for that will pay, it's like a dollar matching grant. And so I was just coming to ask permission for us to apply for that to get half of the cost paid.
Okay. Does that body armor really go bad or not?
It's the weave of Kevlar is so heavy. Over time, as you wear it, it actually kind of sinks to the bottom. So up high, where your heart and lungs and things of that nature aren't as protected. It also can biodegrade if the shell that incorporates it, encapsulates it, is punctured and air gets in at it. It can actually kind of disintegrate. So that's why they recommend changing it out every 5 years. Ours is, to my recollection, at least 7 years old. So it was needed dealt with before, but we just didn't know about it. And it was one of those things. I was doing some spring cleaning, investigating where we were at with things, and it was brought to my attention like, hey, I think our body armor's expired, and they were correct. So we have the money due to all the changes in staff we had this past year. We had a large amount of money in our salaries that aren't going to be spent. I've used some of that money to hire Darian Sparks, who's training alongside Jenna Turner, who retires in August. We should still have in that account, worst case scenario, almost $30,000, and the high end of this bid is $9,000 is what I'm actually asking for tonight. So if we get half of that paid back, it's really only going to cost us about $4,500, $5,000 for body armor for 7 of our 8 officers. One officer had a new vest purchased last year because he had a vest that he brought with him and it expired, and we replaced it about a year ago. So I would just ask that you allow us to apply for the grant. I believe the deadline is June 26th or 27th, and then we should know something back in the not so distant future. But it's a grant anyway where you pay up front and then they reimburse you. You send them the receipt, they cut you a check for up to half basically, and we put it back in. I would also ask permission, if everything's approved by the council tonight, to go ahead and make that purchase. I know it's over $750 it will be, and I need permission to make that kind of a purchase. So to kind of get both of those done in one fell swoop so we can get this armor ordered, because it'll take 6 to 8 weeks to come in after they're sized and ordered.
I'll move a motion to approve going after the grant and also move on the purchase.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Dale, second by Tracy to give permission for the grant application and the purchase agreement for new body armor for the probation department. Before we vote on this, Jolisa, is there any danger of getting the same position on this?
Yes, I was going to talk to him about that later, waiting until, let me do some more research.
Okay.
I'm not sure on this one, we may be able to order it on this one, but let me double check prior to ground work, so we'll
Okay.
double check that.
All right.
We just don't want to make a mistake of getting the cart before the horse on this,
Yes, for sure.
okay? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 3 ayes, Jane. Anything else, Ryan?
The only thing else I think I've figured out, our building doesn't have an AED, the defibrillator machine. I think every other building does. We just had our CPR recertification and it was brought up. Is that something that I need to write into my budget, or is that a county thing? I know there's a grant, but it's not till October, which we can apply for then to kind of get that. But I'm not sure how that fell through the cracks. I know the jail had a couple even when I worked there, between the admin side and the jail side. I know the courthouse has a few, and the annex doesn't have any that I find.
Well, you make a good point. The AED machine out here in the hallway was the EMA director.
EMA.
Got
Maybe I need to go
that
upstairs and
through
ask.
some grant or something,
Okay.
but I don't know where he got it.
Yeah. I'll just have to go upstairs and knock and ask.
Well, that would, that might be a good place to start on
Yes.
that, because if he has a source where those are readily available, it might be quicker than any other way.
Yes, I agree.
I do ask that you also, when you talk to him, have him get one or whatever he needs to do that will work with the ones the ambulance carries.
Yes,
But
the
these
correct
out here
pad
won't
hookups.
plug, yeah.
That would, the health department actually mentioned that to me, that there's different pad, kind of the pigtail connectors, that ones we have don't interconnect with EMS.
Yep.
which
So
is-
not all of them are compatible.
No,
Okay.
That's not good.
no.
All right.
But maybe ask him to replace them all.
Yeah, yeah, you might be
If he
time.
can look into that.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's what we'll do. All right,
Okay.
thank you very much.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thanks.
I don't see Michael King here. Okay. Julissa, did you have anything else for us while you were here? Okay. Kelly,
Yeah,
are you here?
I'll be brief.
Okay.
Okay. I did print these out for you so that you guys could at least have a copy of what has been done.
I mean, now you're not reading.
Jolisa and I, this is what she's turned in for us. Okay, so originally on this same grant, it was the priority grant, that we were going to reach out for the console. However, through the time that we were doing all of our meetings with IPSC that we needed to do and looking over the criteria a little deeper, we are ineligible to use this grant for our console, due in part that we had already accepted the fact that the council was going to give us the money. So we had kind of pre-jump started. Also, there was a letter of intent that ECS wanted that from their company. And so I had given that to the company for our letter of intent that we accepted their quote. And that was considered ineligibility for us on that quote, or on that particular grant for the console. So in lieu of that, Jolisa went ahead and did the grant, and it's $5,000 for the county to make it like even for both, to go after new radios, because it's a radio grant. You have to do a radio console, or you have to do some kind of radio equipment, so you can't veer off of the path of what it's for. So we just went ahead and we've got the grant for radios. Is how we did it. So that's what this grant, what I passed you out, that's what we applied for, was the grant to use for new 800 radios. And that too is backed by IPSC, which is the state radio people that we had to have a coordinator with on this grant, and then they also recommended that we would be awarded the grant as well, because they know that we're a county that does need that stuff.
This grant is good up to $150,000.
Yes.
And is it a matching grant?
No.
The only thing with it is a reimbursable grant, so the county would have to purchase and then be reimbursed, but it's 100% reimbursable.
But you cannot purchase prior to the award. That's, like you cannot do anything until we find out what this end result is in September. In the meantime, I'm going to move forward with ECS and have them come in and start the build on the console. Because we're out of that with this, so we might as well go forward. It's a 4-month build. The console will be a 4-month build for the ECS.
Okay.
Back to that letter of intent that I wrote them, it's dated, it's on letterhead, telling them that we did accept their quote and, all that. So that gives them, they take total responsibility of the radio room and all the radios, so that if something was to happen during their build, they would be liable for the repair of it.
Okay, what kind of name are we supposed to assign to this grant for these radios?
What page are you on, Dale?
Page 1?
What do you mean name to assign?
Well, is this
It's Department of Homeland Security.
is this a Homeland Security grant? Or
Yes.
is it? Okay,
It's the exact same one that we have been talking about since, we were asking Adrian questions. And then I reached out with the help of Jaleesa, and we just did it between us, because we were able to do it without EMA's help at this time. And I did contact Adrian to let him know that we had discovered that we could go ahead and reach for it, and that he can just, kind of stand back, and if we needed to get some information from him, we would absolutely, ask him, and he said, okay. So he knows that we've applied for this. Well, and basically, we didn't want him to also apply. So we were letting him know what we were doing.
okay. So this is the same, actually the same grant we approved application for previously,
Yes.
but for a different reason.
And like I said, this particular grant can only be used for radio equipment, like the console or radios. That's it. We can't divert off of that and use it for anything else.
Okay. Okay. What do you say to this?
Do you need a motion or something to move forward, or?
No, basically you just need to, we just were letting you know that this is what we did instead of the console, because we became ineligible to apply for that. So we kind of wanted you to be on the same page to know where we went with this grant that we had talked about prior to. Okay.
So you don't really need a second.
No, this has already been submitted.
I mean, it would be nice if you want to go ahead and authorize me to submit it. It was one of those things we found out, was it 2 days, 3 days
Yeah.
prior to the deadline that we couldn't apply?
That we weren't eligible for the console, but we could do radios. So we quickly changed it around and we asked for the radios for city and county.
I'll move to go ahead and approve the
Okay,
going after this grant.
Yeah, for the radios, and I'll second that.
okay.
We have a motion by Dale, second by Tracy, to approve the application for the Homeland Security grant for radios. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
3 ayes, Jay.
And is there any other questions that you got going on with anything that might be going on? That was
And
like
I'll just point out that we did not put a specific brand of radio that was going to be purchased. So we left that very, very vague so that the county can figure out what they want to order and then the city
Yeah.
can order what they want to order. Just wanted to clarify that.
And the console is Kenwood,
Well, it's a Bosch Texlix, but it's a Kenwood.
through Kenwood.
Yes.
And you don't know when, you haven't heard from them when they're gonna start?
Today was my first day back from vacation,
Okay.
and I've actually been working the radio today. So I haven't contacted Sam yet, but I will tomorrow when I have a full day and let him know, get a date on the begin. And I'll let everybody either email you, because I'm letting you know it's gonna happen. So I'll email you and say, hey, it's happening. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
That's fine.
Okay, am I done?
Yep,
All right,
thank you.
thank you.
Highway Department Superintendent Jay Havlin. Jay, have you got anything to report?
I don't really have anything unless you have some questions for me.
Well, the last couple of rains we've had, I understand, hasn't treated us very well again.
I'd say the hammered is pretty good. We had two major culverts, took the top off of it, we had to put them back. And we had other structures that messed up, so. Seems like every time we get rain, it comes in buckets instead of drops.
Well, we've had a lot of unexpected repairs this spring for sure. Okay, Surveyor Bill Mackey, do you
I
have
don't have anything except Derek told him to do his presentation next commissioners meeting. He was gonna do one on the grid signs, but he had to be out of state today. So he told me he would come in 2 weeks and do it. But I can tell you, we'll have 22 bridges that will need the big signs.
Okay, it's gonna be 22 of them.
Well, they had 23, Bridge 90, but we're not doing that, because it's gonna be tore out. So
Okay.
there's 22 others. I hope we were doing Bridge 90.
Wasn't bad on it.
But, yeah, so we got 22 of the big signs that put up. I'll get the stuff ordered, they have to be done by August 31st. That's what the state's mandated. So,
Do you have any updates on progress on Bridge 90?
that we haven't heard. Jim just got a verbal last week, about possibly 2 weeks. Haven't heard any more.
We've actually been emailing back and forth this morning.
Oh, okay.
And they're going through, the Butler family.
Yeah.
We was going through some of their stuff this morning. Their Paul H. Rowe's asking for some cofferdams that nobody else really feels like they're necessary. And we're progressing. We just sent an email out earlier, you was on, pretty much giving them an ultimatum that
Yeah, I saw it.
their days are gonna be charged. I mean, we're starting, at this point, they got 150 days, and after that 150 days, we'll hit them for $1,000 a day, liquidated damages. Right now, it's out of our hands. We can't do anything until we start hitting them with liquidated damages. So, I can't tell you a better start time right now than I could have a month ago. We're just,
Yeah, well, Jim, people that use that road are constantly asking, when is it gonna close?
and I've actually visited a couple of places out there, McDivitt's and places, and all I can tell them is what I'm telling you right now. I sent an email out yesterday to Paul H. Rowe and requested them to give me something in writing for a start date. If they'd give me something in writing, I would pay for their mob, demob, and a few of the items that can be paid up front. But I said, I'm not paying for anything. I haven't paid for the office. It's been over here for 2 months now, and I haven't paid anything on the contract because they haven't provided me anything in writing. And I didn't realize it was Paul H. Rowe sitting next to me there, or I would have nailed him before he left. But that was the president sitting there next to me. So, I really don't have anything I can tell you right now.
Okay, well, I guess we'll just wait and see.
Yep.
Thank you. County Attorney, do you have anything to report?
Not yet.
Okay. Anyone have any mail they want to share?
Go back.
Oh, Bill, I didn't know you was back there.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
I usually don't hide.
Okay. Do you have anything for the APC?
Well, I think he's under new business for the solar thing.
Oh, yeah.
You have some extras right there?
I do have some packets here, yeah. Okay.
Bill, could you hold off on this a minute? We had you on the agenda here under new business, and we got a couple other items to clear up here before we get to that. That way these people can hit the road, because they have places to go and you don't.
I was gonna thank you for that.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it looked good at 3 o'clock inspection.
Do you have anything under old business? Okay. Under new business, we have Cemetery Board President Amanda Stevens is here.
I don't have anything for you today. But I do want to thank you guys for letting us apply for the Rush Shelby grant. We were awarded the grant, but not the amount that we were needing. There is another grant through the foundation with your approval that we could possibly qualify for, and between the 2 grants and what's in our budget, we should be able to get both pieces of equipment. So,
This is a foundation mini grant, right?
yes,
Okay. A maximum $2,500.
yes,
And with that, if you can get that, then you can complete the purchase of the GPR equipment and a tripod,
that's correct.
right?
Yes,
And you're also going to ask the council tonight for a transfer of funds,
yes,
put all this together?
yes.
Okay.
They should have all the paperwork.
And then the Rush Shelby grant that you were awarded,
Yes.
how much did they award you?
We asked for a little over 9,600 and we ended up with 45.95.
45.95.
Yes.
Okay.
So it was enough, too much for the tripod, but not enough for the GPR. So instead of returning the money, we're trying to see to get both any way we can.
Okay, so I think if we give them permission, the foundation grant is without question. They'll have that, and then they'll have all the equipment they've been seeking. You want to let them go ahead with that?
I'll move to approve it.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Okay. A motion by Dale, second by Tracy to approve the Cemetery Commission's application for a Fayette County Foundation mini grant for $2,500 so that they can complete the purchase of the tripod and the GPR unit.
Yes.
Which are after, okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
3 ayes, Jane. You're real close, Amanda, to
I'm
having
almost there.
the stuff you need.
Few more days and we
Yeah.
should have everything in line.
Well, when we get this ground penetrating radar equipment in, I'm looking for a demonstration on that.
Well, we'll research on
Okay.
these and then maybe here in a couple months.
Will that be available, it's like for the sheriff's department or somebody, city police to use?
That is a question for you guys since it would be county equipment. How it gets used, I mean, I don't know.
That's good.
Yeah. I'm sure if the need arose, no need for us to refuse it.
They have
I do
legitimate
know that the
right.
state police has equipment like that too.
Right. I just know they've used stuff like that a couple different times. And I just thought, got one right here in the county handy, it
Yeah.
might save them a lot of time.
Amanda could operate it for them.
Hope so.
Okay, is there anything else you need today?
I think that's it for today.
Okay. All right, well, good luck.
All right, thank you guys.
Okay. We have a Hoosier Solar presentation. Bill McDaniel.
Well, apologies, the actual proponents from the company, they had on-site meetings today, well, this week, so they won't be able to be in attendance also at our solar energy public hearing. But I think that the written document that has a lot of basic information about questions that I had that I was concerned about, so it answered a lot of my questions. And it also has in the back of it, which is very helpful, is like the bibliography to a lot of different academic and technical studies related to solar energy. But that's what we have right here. Then there's and this is also something that's given to property owners when they've had property owner meetings. Then they also have the Fayette County Solar Landowner presentation. And another document is from the state of Indiana about land assessment for the solar farms. And then there's an abstract from the relating to best and highest analysis of farming and solar uses. And that's one document I haven't had a chance to really attempt to absorb. And so what we have right here is it's Mason Gordon. And Mason's which you're initially local?
Originally from Rush County. Actually went to elementary school, 2nd to 6th grade at Maplewood here in town. So lived in
Kind of
town for a
local.
little bit. Yeah.
So he's working as a, with them as a consultant for technical consultants. You want to explain some of the things?
Yeah,
I
sure.
guess I think some of the important ones is the process. I mean, it's a long process before you even begin to think about building and building. So the process, I think some of the questions, I think might be a little more pertinent of interest to the county commissioners, or also the really taxes, and then the relative effects on what might be possible effects on property values.
Yeah, so as Bill mentioned, Mason Gordon, I'm a project coordinator with HWC Engineering on contract with Hoosier Solar Holdings for local government relations for the proposed solar development in Rush County. So that's why I'm here on behalf of Hoosier Solar. You notice my business card says HWC Engineering. So currently we are in conversations with Rush County for a proposed utility scale solar development between Glenwood and Orange on the Rush County side of the line. We've currently secured leases in Rush County. There is a PJM regional transmission electric line that runs just probably a mile into Fayette County that we would be proposing to actually interconnect that electricity generated into the grid. So that would be kind of the connection with Fayette County. Andrew Hinckley, as Bill mentioned, is the project manager for Hoosier Solar for Rush County. And he is I'll give this caveat, he is the solar technical expert. I am the local government technical expert. So we want to be helpful as you guys consider your solar ordinance. I know this week's a big week for that. We want to be helpful and make sure to answer any possible questions that we can. And for sure, if there's anything that comes up today that I don't have the ability to answer, I'll jot those down and make sure that we get you a timely answer on them. Bill did kind of walk through a little bit of the packet that I gave you. I got a printout here of a presentation that Andrew Hinckley gave to the county APC the last time they met, I believe, which was May 29th or so. And in here, it kind of walks through why solar is becoming popular in Indiana. What are the great things about Indiana that have created an opportunity for solar developments? Walk through the development timeline of the process, and as Bill mentioned, it is a very long process. And in Rush County, we are about ready to sit down with the county's solar committee and formally begin that local permitting process. You might also find it very interesting that we do have some visual simulations of what the Rush County project would look like, and that is based on Rush County's setback requirements. And I know that I believe that in your proposed solar ordinance, the setback are a little bit different, but this will give you a rough estimate of what kind of the project is going to look like in Rush County. As Bill mentioned, and I think you all would be very interested, there's also a memo that went out to county assessors about how the land under a utility scale solar project is assessed, and that was kind of the second document that I had in the packet. So that will give you more information on the types the level of assessment that you can anticipate here in Fayette County if you pass an ordinance and get a project developed.
Okay, related to that is can you explain then how the above the basic agricultural rate, how then the additional industrial rate, and also the improvements, how that's paid for under the contracts?
Under Hoosier Solar's contracts, all of the taxes are consumed by Hoosier Solar. So the way that the leases are written is that like I said, all the real and all the personal property taxes due to the county are paid for by Hoosier Solar. Varying counties do it different ways, and I think that's one of the great things. One of the many conversations that you all would need to have with the solar development is how exactly you want to see those property taxes handled. Rush County has a project that has already been approved, and I don't know if the three of you are kind of aware of that project or not, but it's called the Light Source BP project. It's roughly a 500-acre project in northern Rush County, and it's, like I said, been all the way through the approvals process and construction is beginning. The way they handled that project was that all of the personal property was abated for 20 years, so a 20-year tax abatement, 100%, and then that tax abatement, the value of that tax abatement came back to the county in the form of an economic development payment. And Jeff can correct me if I'm saying anything wrong here. But that essentially gave the county a bit more flexibility as to how they were able to spend that additional revenue that was generated from the solar project. So there's many, many ways to skin that property tax cat. And we'd be happy to walk you through any of those scenarios and help you make a decision on that.
Okay, because I think what will come up with some people will be that, so they're going to get out paying the county anyway, because people have a misapprehension of that.
Yeah, and I will say that, Rush County got a great deal because there was, essentially none of the tax abatement benefit was retained by the solar developer in that scenario because all of it came back in the form of economic development payments. So when you hear tax abatement, you think of all of that abatement going back to the developer as the benefit, but that was not the case in Rush County. And so that's definitely one of those negotiation points that you have with a solar development.
Okay, and
we also have, as Bill mentioned, we do have, I included a list of frequently asked questions. Those range from how the project is decommissioned to what are the environmental impacts, how are invasive species managed, so on and so forth. And one of the great things I think about this FAQ sheet is that it also includes links to several academic articles or credible sources that you all can read some additional information located in that bibliography. So there's lots of, if you want to spend your next year with some light reading at nighttime, there's lots of articles here that can give you more information about kind of the key information here in this packet.
And that includes everything, environmental and so on.
Yeah. So like I said, we just want to be your resource. We know that adopting an ordinance is kind of your next step in the process, and we're happy to answer any sort of questions or give you any sort of guidance you want along the way. So that's kind of all I've got. I'm happy to answer any sort of questions that you all have, or like I said, jot down the questions and get you an answer by the appropriate person.
Yeah, I just want to interject something really quickly. Is that it was the ad for the Thursday's public hearing was published on May 17th. So a long time ahead. Now, interestingly, I've only had one person actually ask for the ordinance. I haven't had anybody else ask for it by email or anything else, nor has anybody asked for any of the documents. And I know that all those documents landed in people's inboxes. There's a lot of documents. That just gives you an idea of the things that I had to try to plow through to absorb. And needless to say is that I really haven't absorbed everything as much as I'd like to. What I focused primarily on was the environmental aspect, particularly some of the comments that were going around about the contamination from the types of panels. And so that was one thing that was helpful with one study from North Carolina State. And what's being used with this, now the one that's out there about cadmium contamination. Well, the potential for that is it's actually a cadmium telluride composition. And that's only within the ones that are actually the spray guns, with the film. It's sprayed. But everything is actually covered on there's the receptor, then they get covered with plastic, and then they get covered with glass. The glass that's actually used on both of them is the same glass that's used, protective glass is used in windshields. Now, the ones that are used on this project and the dominant type of material on most projects it's the silicone based. And it's the silicone, once again, there's the plastic, then there's the glass, then there's the plastic. And the only thing in the past that had been with those, it was some type of potential heavy, even a small risk. Potential heavy metal was the lead-based solder. The companies are manufacturing those particular solar panels. They're moving away, and they don't tend to use lead. They don't tend to use lead-based solder anymore. Materials are all very recyclable. There's a description in there of what happens upon when it's decommissioned. Then there's other information that was included in the package as far as from the EPA of how things are, and we have the language in there requiring the recycling of the materials if something does happen. And they have to be recycled under a very specific standard that's developed by the EPA. So I felt going through these things, I feel a lot of the concerns like that I'm more comfortable with. And it sounds as though that from property values, it sounds like it's kind of a wash because 2 of the studies are included. They reference to that referred to the effects either positive or negative as what's referred to as in statistics, statistically insignificant. Basically mean it falls within it's called a standard deviation. So if there's a little bit of a negative effect, a little bit of a positive effect, they're very, very small.
And on that, I think he's referencing adjacent properties.
Yes,
not
exactly. So then on adjacent properties, is that and it's would be expected is it's dependent upon the actual size of the solar farm project. The actual size, the screening helps, the height of the screening requirement, the width of the screening requirement, and then also distance from things such as, say, rural subdivisions, things that are non-agricultural uses. So I feel much more confident with any potential project, with the ordinance.
So when you rent, lease property, just using numbers, you've got a 500-acre field here. You lease the fields to set your panels on. Do you lease the whole 500 acres, or do you lease the, let's say, 450 acres just where the panel sets?
That is a great question. I know that I'll get you a certain answer on that. I don't handle the leases for the development, but I'm pretty certain it's a lease for the entire parcel. But I'll be sure to get that answered to you.
And the property, the tax assessment, I guess, is just for where the panel itself sets and immediately adjacent to those, not the whole 500 acres.
I would suppose that would probably affect what's covered and how that's done. This would be something we're also involved with the county assessor with that. Yeah. So a lot of those things are then worked out in their contracts and then also with the county. And that's one thing that we have in there also is the ordinance, such as I spoke with at the presentation you and I were at least setting it up, allowing other compatible agricultural type uses. So it's not set up in the ordinance to exclude anything else, but it's to allow other things. And of course, there's for the period of the farm, it's actually be fallow for the period of time project. And this is where it comes also in where we have the requirement for the covers. Covers is going to be consist of native plant materials, forbs and grasses that are going to be native to the soils. They have a deeper penetration. Turf grass has to be about a 2 or 3 inch penetration. And some of the plants in the vegetable will have 3, 4, 5, and 6 foot deep root systems. So give a chance to then as far as actually rebuilding soils. So I say if it's 30, 40, 50 years, we have 30, 40, 50 years of fallow, and then you can go with the soil with that. The plant materials that are used also be pretty improved. It can possibly play a role with how the potential effect from stormwater. That's another thing that they're required to go through with the state of Indiana on these projects. It's also, they're required to manage the stormwater, so you aren't getting that additional runoff. Because that's no under Indiana code, is you can't increase the runoff off of the property on the neighboring properties. And so there's federal sign-offs, there's state sign-offs, and there's local sign-offs. Then there's the agreements with the county as far as road use agreement, the decommissioning plan, various things within that. So that's and what we used as the model was the state of Indiana. They developed a model solar energy ordinance. So we used that, and then also another one, which is Marshall County, which is considered probably one of the better ones in the state of Indiana.
In your property code class paper here, the central, do you have an idea why the central is the only one that's losing money? Every other codes, everybody has gained for 2021 except for the central, and we went down. Do you, just an
That's
idea?
a very good observation. I have not noticed that before. I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't. Sorry, I don't have an answer for you. No, that's very curious. I'm not sure.
Well, and that's just strictly the tax rate and utility class.
Right.
And Fayette County is does anybody, what is the actual current agricultural rate here in Fayette County?
Wasn't it 18 something, I believe?
I don't know the exact amount that sounds in the, that's in the rough area. That's the assessed value.
Yeah, so if that's the assessed value, then you have that on top of the agricultural assessed value.
Yeah.
And then there's the assessment then for any of the actual improvements. And one of the big ones would be potentially is the very large investment would be on the construction of a substation building to get into the transmission system. Yes.
You guys have a public hearing scheduled on this tomorrow?
Thursday.
Thursday, okay.
Yep.
That's at the Miller Building?
Was that?
At the Miller Building?
Miller Building at 7 p.m.
7?
Yep. So, like I said, is that I have no idea what turnout will be like because we had a fair number of people for the confined feeding. Then we actually had, had no understanding how many people would show up, but we did this for the solar energy. There's a lot of people here at that meeting also, weren't you?
Yeah.
It's a lot more than we really anticipated.
So right now, there's nothing for us to act on.
No, this is information.
See your process, eventually it will wind up here, and once you get that taken care of, we'll be taking a look at it.
Yes.
So,
Feel free to give me a call. I put a star next to my cell phone number. Feel free to give me a call on that line or shoot me an email if you've got any other questions, and I'll be sure to get more kind of detailed information for you for those questions that you asked today. So.
Okay, well, thank you, Mason.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
On that. We have some gentlemen here from DLZ, William Stark and Scott Carnegie are here to bring us up to date on some recent documents that they have sent pertaining to the Women's Correctional Facility. Fellas, I apologize you had to be here this long.
All right. Dale, at the risk of having to buy everybody lunch, I've signed this one.
Oh, okay. All right. I shouldn't have warned you.
Take it easy, that's Scott. All right.
Sir.
All right.
We appreciate you having us today.
We're here today we've finished, as you may recall, we were waiting on the survey. We received the survey information, so we were able to complete our construction documents for the Fayette County Women's Work Release and Detention Center project. We have our drawings complete, we have our project manual complete, certain documents I forwarded over to Jeff to review. So we are ready to send our documents to the printer to solicit bids from prospective contractors. So we're going to kind of go through kind of a high-level summary because a lot of the information that you're going to see here, we've presented it 2 and 3 times. But at the end of our presentation, we would ask for the motion to approve the construction document phase and authorize us to start the bidding phase, which means we will send our documents to the printer, and that's our contractors obtain the documents so they can put together a bid. Bill?
Right. Going to start off with a basic site plan here. Laser pointer. As stated before in previous meetings, we are utilizing the old Hooks General Store or Hooks store that you purchased. The entrance will be shifted from the south side to the further north. With that will come a bit of work on the front. We'll be shifting sidewalks, making it a little wider. We'll be moving the ADA parking spot. We'll be repainting the lines out on that lot. And then looking towards the back side of the building, we received approval for the alley vacation of that portion between our building and the existing work release. We would be putting a fence on the south side of that alley and kind of centrally to provide a closed off mechanical yard. Beyond that, on the north side of the alley, we would have that back entrance with a ramp down, allowing for easy access for officers, inmates, and anything they need to be carting between the two, or between the several jail buildings there.
The only thing I would add here is we are also incorporating removable bollards.
Yes.
So to prevent vehicles from being able to go in here and walk past them, if we need to get back in here for maintenance, we can remove the bollards.
So this is our floor plan as it stands now. Not a lot has changed. We have the kind of administration area down on the southeast corner. Entryway, entry lobby with the locker room and toilet room for the work release inmates. An office space along with a staff toilet and lobby or lounge, excuse me. Mechanical space will open on the right here. Will open into the alley for easy access, not having to interfere with the daily happenings of the building. Over on the left side here, or the west side, I guess we call it, is the work release, women's work release. We have room for 20 work release beds. I should note that should this be altered to be a jail space, you would lose 2 beds. There's not the floor. There's not enough floor space for that. The central.
If I could, just real quick.
Yes.
What Bill's referring to, there are no standards for work release as far as how many square feet you have per bed when it comes to a work release, but for a jail you do. It's the Indiana State Jail standards. You have to have 50 square feet in an open dormitory per inmate, and that's what Bill's referring to.
Yes.
You have to lose 2 based on the existing square footage.
Thank you, Scott. Centrally located here is the master control, where you can see down this corridor to the jail dormitories and see it directly into the work release. We're going to come over here to the right. We have a professional visitation room that also, I believe, operates as a video visitation room, if I remember correctly. To the right of that is what would be base bid, a holding cell. So it would have a bed for 2 as well as a desk and seat. It would just function as holding. along with a toilet room over to the right. We'll go further north. On the left side, we have two dorms that would hold 12 people each. On the upper right-hand side, we have another dorm that would hold 10 people. To the south of that, we have, in order to protect the base bid, we have a program space. Now, beyond that, we have several alternates. Now, if you remember during our previous meetings, we discussed several alternates. In order to protect the bid, we want to give you the best project we can, but we want to make sure it stays in budget. So, one of the first of those alternate bids would be to add 2 toilets and a shower to the program space. This would allow for flexibility for it to also be used as overflow in the case that it is needed.
Yeah, if you recall during their last presentation, there was a comment made by the sheriff's office asking that we incorporate a toilet and shower over here so they could utilize that for overflow should they need that space.
Yes.
If I could, just real quick, when Bill flips the slide here in a minute, we obviously located this toilet and shower so that it also works with. So it's the same toilet and shower configuration. This is the other alternate bid where we're building that out, getting an additional 8 beds.
So we'll jump back to this one real quick. This is the alternate bid for if you have safety to add safety padding, a concrete slab, and a door for a padded holding cell. Now, a padded holding cell is pretty self-explanatory. The reason why this is an alternate bid is because padding is obviously very expensive. But another note for this is that we would, if you look at the previous drawings, there should not be a door between the padded cell and the toilet. What we would provide would be a frame and a door to be installed at a later date should padding be installed. And it'd be very simple. You would simply just remove the bunk, remove the seating, the desk and the seat. You could install a concrete pad, install the padding, install the door, and be ready to go.
If I could also, just real quick, as part of the base bid, as Bill talked about, we're not going to provide the padding in here, so it's going to be a holding cell, so we have a floor-mounted bunk. And then, of course, no door here, so they have access to the toilet facilities. Excuse me. If we accept this alternate on bid day, then technically we lose 2 beds. Because according to the Indiana State Jail standards, for rated bed capacity, you count everything except detox and
Padded.
Padded holding.
And we'll get into that a little bit more later. Come back to this slide. We already kind of discussed this. This is that south pod that is southeastern pod that is currently labeled as program space. As Scott mentioned, we would be able to, if we installed the toilets and showers there would be no issue just installing it on the wall and putting in seating and bunks to have another looks like 8 bunks there.
The other advantage to this is, let's say on bid day you can't afford to do this alternate, or you build this out for the additional beds 5 years from now, 10 years from now. It'd be very easy to come in and retrofit this if you need additional beds.
Our goal is to make it as easy as possible for expansion later, if need be. This is one of the final alternates. Well, not one of the final alternates. There are several others, but one of the several other alternates that affect the floor plan. This would be the northeast pod that is currently set as dorms. If there's budget for it, we would put in 4 2-person cells, so a total of 8 bunks, and then a small shower would go there in the corner. We know that the sheriff and the sheriff's deputy mentioned that they really need the cells. This is us trying to provide them, but understanding that it may not be in the budget. So, on to the next. So, just a real quick on bed count, kind of bed count summary here. With your base bid, you end up with 20 work release beds and a total of 36 rated beds. So that's the 3 dorms and the holding cell. If you install the alternate bids, if you put the padded cell in, you lose 2 beds. If you put the southeast pod as a dorm, you gain 8 beds, bring you up to a total of 64. If we have the budget for the cells at the northeast pod, you would end up losing 2 beds.
So there's a wide variety of potential combinations, just depending upon how bids can then fit in. But we want to kind of put this together to get kind of confusing.
Yeah. Here's our current list of alternates, and this is, I shouldn't say current list, this is the final list of alternates. At the top there we have a complete roof removal and replacement. We would simply remove the current existing EPDM roof and install a TPO roof. It lasts a lot longer, it's a little bit cheaper, and is a lot more recyclable. Concrete slab removal and replacement. Right now we have it set so that you'd have to remove fair chunks of the floor in order to install the concrete walls and everything. This is one of those situations where we're wondering, where we will talk to bidders and see if it is in fact cheaper to just remove the floor completely and reinstall it as needed. Toilets and showers and program space we've mentioned. There's talk about putting an aluminum canopy on the back of the alley, so that way anybody coming up and down that ramp would have some cover while they're waiting for the door to open. Fencing at the back alley ramp would be is an alternate to provide a little bit extra precautionary safety, like a little bit of safety, so that way you can't have people just hanging out around that door back there. Stained and sealed concrete slab is one thing that we have as listed as an alternate to kind of color the floor depending upon what happens with it. If we have to cut it up, if it would look a lot better if it was stained. Safety padding and concrete slab at the padded cell is something we talked about. Dorm at southeast cell and the cells at northeast pod are all things we've discussed previously. So this is would be the south facing or the southeast facing facade. You can see we have we've shifted the entrance, and to cover up where the old entrance is, we kind of have a little bit of a bump out, probably about a 4-inch stick out of a pilaster there to provide a kind of a signage spot or a announcement of this is your Fayette County Women's Work Release and Detention Center. We have a budget, probable construction costs. The costs would be based on whatever we get in June or July of 2022, whenever we can get our bids in. The hard construction costs we have at $3.1 million. This is including a security electronics upgrade that we've discussed previously that would need to be done in order to have the new women's work release in jail connected to the existing. Project schedule. Project Board of Public Works. The vacation of the alley was approved last night. Construction documents complete. Present to the Fayette County Commissioners. That's what we're doing now. The bidding would commence. Bidding commencement and sent to the printer. We plan to do this Thursday, June 9th. Pre-bid meeting happening July 6th at 10 a.m. Bids due July 19th at 1:30 p.m. Bid opening July 19th at 2 p.m. We would award bids anticipated August 2nd, with the construction to begin. Begin and last 10 to 12 months, at least that we anticipate, with the project closeout and completion in 4 weeks, which would be anticipated. So construction would be about a year with an extra 4 weeks. Any questions that I can answer for you? Or Scott can answer for you.
On the floor plan.
Yes.
The hallway that's in yellow.
Yes.
Are the doors going up the hallway, are they opening the wrong direction? But when they open, your control room won't be able to see through the door.
Yeah, and really the reason that we swung them that way is because most of your traffic is going to be coming from the existing jail over, and we're going to walk around the door, to enter.
But wouldn't it be safer for your control room to be able to see that prisoner if they're walking them in there. So, because when they open that door, they're blind to what's happening.
Yeah. Okay, I see it both ways, but yes.
Do we not have cameras there?
Oh, yeah, there's cameras all up and down it. Yeah, where it's being controlled and monitored, either from this master control or from the master control over the jail, which is why we need that Stanley upgrade for the full connectivity.
Yes. Also, I believe that's a code thing too, where the doors are opening to where they would exit from, correct?
For the path of travel.
Yes.
for egress. Any other questions, comments? Everything makes sense? The one thing that we failed to mention is we do have an allowance. We are requiring the contractor to include, I think, the $40,000 allowance.
Yes.
For roof repairs as part of the base bid, because we're taking an alternate bid for complete roof replacement. So we're requiring the contractor to include $40,000 in this bid for miscellaneous roof repairs. And again, if that money's not spent, if we spend $30,000 of it, $10,000 of it comes back to the county.
Scott, this floor plan as shown here, how many beds does this floor plan?
Let's go back to the bed count summary.
20 worker lease. 36.
So Dale, the base bid, that drawing that has the entire floor plan that you were looking at, will yield you a total of 56 beds.
Okay.
And then if we accept an alternate bid to accept the padded holding, it's what I referred to earlier, that we have to take the bunk out and DOC standards, you don't get to count padded holding or detox. You'd actually technically lose 2 by doing that, but you gain a padded cell by doing that. If we do the southeast pod, which is where we added the toilet room and the program classroom, if we take that alternate to build that out, we'll actually gain 8 in addition to the 56. And if we do the northeast pod, which is the last one that Bill showed that has the cells, the 4 cells, will yield us 8, but we already had 10 in there as part of the base bid, so technically we'd be losing 2 in the base bid again.
The worst you could do if you accept if all the alternates are accepted is 60. So.
But when we first started looking at this, we figured it was going to be a maximum of 62 beds. So we're close with all the changes that have been made.
Any other questions, comments?
As far as I'm concerned, right this minute, without, taking out a lot of time and studying this closer, I wouldn't know what to ask today. But if something, becomes apparent to me, I could shoot you guys an email, find out. But right now, I can't think of anything.
We're kind of to the point, we've been around this bush so many times, it's time to put it out on the street, let's see what it costs.
Right.
Yeah.
We've tried to build in as much flexibility as we could possibly fathom to make this happen.
Well, there's more flexibility in this plan than I thought there would be from the beginning. A lot of the ideas have come to fruition in this plan, I really wasn't expecting when it started. So,
a lot of input by everybody.
Yeah.
Including Michelle and the sheriff's office.
Yeah. Everybody has a different interest, seems like.
Yes.
And it's very helpful, especially with the money, not knowing,
Yeah.
So we have options then, like you said, later on. Yeah.
So hope the base bid comes in at 3.1 or less. And I tell you, people are busy. I talked to Maxwell Construction, because I asked them for a price on another project. But, you know, they said they are just absolutely hammered, swamped with work. But if you all make a motion and approve construction document information that we just presented and authorize us to go out to bid, we'll send it to the printer, and then as part of our homework, then we contact prospective bidders in the area, which we have a running list, and we actually send them this notice to bidders, which Mr. Westling already looked at, which has all the pertinent information, how to obtain drawings, when the pre-bid meeting is, when bids are due, where bids are supposed to be turned in, that kind of thing. And all of that is, you know, just trying to generate interest so we can get bids. The more competitive bids we have, the better.
I just have one question.
Yeah.
What is this?
That is an it's what we call an ADA Combi Unit. So ADA, Americans with Disabilities Act, Combi Unit, we call it a Combi Unit. It's stainless steel because it's detention grade. We call it a Combi Unit because it has the toilet and the sink right behind it. But that one is ADA compliant.
To try to sell you one with a toilet paper holder attached, it's not ADA compliant.
It's not.
So we need to make a motion to approve this and then to forward it on to printing? Is that-
Yeah, so if I may, a motion, you know, to accept the construction document as presented, and then authorization to permit DLC to commence the bidding phase. Not just following our contract.
I'll move a motion to how he presented it.
Yeah. To approve the construction document phase and to approve your soliciting of bids.
And
I'll
then I
second
just
that.
have one follow-up question. Sorry. I think you also have to take your vote or something.
Okay. We've got a motion by Dale, second by Tracy, to approve the construction documents and give DLZ authorization to Scott,
Commence the bidding phase.
commence the bidding phase. Okay, thank you. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
3 ayes, Jane. Okay, now,
One follow-up question. This is what we, the notice to bidders. This has to be legally advertised. It's the same document from Greg that I forwarded to you. Somebody from the county typically would arrange to have this advertised. Is that?
typically our county auditor
Okay.
takes care of all of our legal ads.
Okay, and that was this one, right?
Could I see that? I fixed something, Greg, after you looked at it, and I caught a typo. This is actually the supplementary instructions to bidders. This is the notice to bidders.
Instruction to bidders.
Yes.
Okay,
Can I look at
is
that?
Yes.
Here's this one back. Yeah. This is the, Greg just needs it.
Yep.
I caught that typo after you looked at it.
100 AM?
100 AM. I fixed it to 10 AM. That's the only thing I changed.
Okay, so that's good to go, and I'll advertise it.
Yeah, can you take this copy?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay,
All right.
that's it for today.
That's it. Thank you.
Okay, well, thanks, gentlemen, for
Thank you.
Thank you.
coming in.
You're all right. Thank you, buddy.
Okay. Brought this in. We got an item of, actually it's old business, or we'd call it old business or new business. You remember the quote we got on the, for the electrical work on the storage building down south that we, would you be willing to make a decision on that today so we could get this to the contractor? I brought in, I think there's 2 of them there, Dale.
This is, I'd say, just one.
Yeah, that's, okay, we'll put this here. Tracy. That came from the first bidder we had, the first contractor we talked to. This one here was the second guy that took a look at that.
And is it doing the same thing?
Well, this one here is going to be providing his own equipment and everything. Makes no request for the county to provide lifts or anything. He said he'd work off his ladder. If you notice the bid there from what it's Schaefer, the way they word that last line there, and also there's the total unit price. So this one here is $2,380.02. What is the second one? Okay. Do you feel like making a decision on that today?
Sure. Who is the owner of this Bach Electrical? Is it someone that?
That's Michael Bach, if that's the pronounced, right way to pronounce it. I'm not sure on that.
And he could get started on it right away, or?
Well, I haven't talked to him since he gave us this bid, because I haven't, it took so long to get the second bid. And then our meetings are 2-3 weeks apart, and time just gets away. But it'd be nice if we could get started on that job, but we do have 2 quotes. One is less money and simpler repairs.
I just wonder if the lights are the same kind. I wish that he had put, 8 foot. You get 8 of them, or how many lights? Does it say 2 light fixtures? This is 2 light fixtures.
2 lights.
8 foot long.
2 lights in each one.
And this is 6 high bay lights, so it is a little different, but I think this would be.
He's putting 7 in.
Oh, I see now. Times 7. Oh, and that's more. I think that's good. So.
There's a lot of lighting systems to choose from. And I know
Yeah.
different contractors has their preferences for some reason or another. But I think all of it, both bids included, was LED lighting.
That's good. I'll make a motion that we'll accept this Bach Electrical and More bid for the lights, electrical work that we need done in our, for our record storage building.
Okay. We have a motion by Tracy, second by Dale, to accept a bid estimate for lighting in a record storage building for $2,380.02. And I will submit, if you want a copy of this bid, I'll submit that. Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, 3 ayes, Jane. Is there anything else on the list? We've got a list of things to do. Is there anything else on that list you want to take care of today?
That should be it.
Okay. Well, let's, we'll try to pick it up next time then. You want to do claims and payroll?
Move to approve claims and payroll.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Dale, second by Tracy to approve claims and payroll. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
3 ayes, Jane.
That's the most important.
Yeah, I'll have to get it for you. I think Dale stuck it in the bottom of his.
What do you need? That's the only one I got.
The other one.
You got the other bid?
Oh, not the one we accepted,
Yeah, this should go in there.
this one.
Anyone have any further business before?
Make a motion that we adjourn.
Okay, we have a motion by Tracy, second by Dale to adjourn. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
3 ayes. We're adjourned. Thank you all very much.